Hi guys, my name is Brittany and this is my channel Bitty Bits Books. Today I will be showing you the books I read in June and the ones that I plan to read in July. The first book I read in June was Someone Like You by Sarah Dessen. If you don't know, this book is about a girl whose name is Hallie, and her best friend's boyfriend dies, and she finds out that she is pregnant with her boyfriend's child. And it's about the struggle of Hallie to be there for her best friend who's pregnant and to find love and to grow up as fast as she's having to do. I think it's a really good book for teenagers that are like younger, about 14, 15 area, because it really shows what teen pregnancy can do to people and how it affects friendships and relationships and your ability to handle everything else that's going on in your life when you're 15 years old. The next book that I read in June is a reread. I actually read Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. And this book, the first time I read it, I didn't like it that much until around the last little chunk of it. But this time when I read it, I went in obviously knowing what kind of story it was, what it was about. And I really enjoyed it. I really understood the entire mythology aspect, and the whole chimera thing wasn't as weird as it was the first time I read it. And I love the character Karu. I think that she's very strong. I like that she's independent. And the relationship between her and Brimstone and the relationship between her and Akiva is really, really interesting. And I like the fact that it's a Romeo and Juliet story. Really, honestly, that's what it boils down to, is the forbidden romance and the forbidden love. And the next book that I read in June, I actually don't currently have with me. I loaned it to my friend Haley down the street, and that is Amy and Roger's epic Detour. I haven't read many contemporary books in my lifetime, I'll be honest. I read a contemporary usually just during the summer, not during the rest of the year. And I picked up a Morgan Matson book because I read Since You've Been Gone about 5 months ago, I guess, and I've been hearing so much about Amy and Roger's epic Detour, and I really, really like that Morgan Matson focuses more on the leading up to the relationship than just being in the relationship, because I think that's an interesting concept to read about, is people developing feelings for each other. And I really, really like the journey that Roger goes through with getting over his ex-girlfriend. Morgan Matson very maturely and very respectfully addressed the subject of a parent dying and a teen feeling like it was their fault. The next book that I read in June is one of my favorites, P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. As soon as I got out of school, I read the Summer I Turned Pretty series. All three of them in a bind-up. It was amazing. It was so good. So good. Her writing is just so cute and so addictive and so easy to read. But I read I Still, To All the Boys I Loved Before in January, I believe. And so when I saw this, I was like, Mom, I actually had no money at the time. There was no way I could have bought it for myself. And I begged my mom. I was like, will you please just get this book for me? I need this book. It is literally my favorite series right now. And I really want a third book. I know we don't need a third book, but I really want a third book. To all of you that don't know what To All the Boys I've Loved Before is about, it's about a girl named Laura Jean who deals and copes with crushes on boys by writing a love note to them, addressing it, and not mailing it out. She puts it in a hat box, and then one day all the letters get mailed out to the 5 boys that she's in love with, and stuff starts to go down. And in this book, stuff continues to go down, and it's just so cute, and it's not ever really saddening, or you're not ever really freaking out about anything bad happening. It's just really funny and humorous, and it's kind of like laughing at her pain. The next book that I read, also partially on vacation, the other two were on vacation, but this one's later on, is Days of Blood and Starlight. I finally continued on with this Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I don't currently own Dreams of Gods and Monsters, but we're working on that. It's a work in progress. But Days of Blood and Starlight is the continuation. I gave this book, I don't even know what I gave this book. I think it was like a 5 out of 5 stars. I love Laini Taylor's writing so much. It's so beautiful. The little pieces that we get in between, I guess, parts of the book, like where you have part 1, part 2. are so beautiful, and the fact that she wrote them, that she's not just using a quote from somebody else, that she wrote everything that we're reading, and like her quotes are so inspirational to the point of like that has to be somebody else's quote. It has to be, because she's so young, and just for somebody to come up with such inspirational, such in-depth feelings and emotions, and this gave me all of the feels, and I understand completely where Cat from Catty-tastic is coming from. It is just so beautiful, and the story is so beautiful and tragic, and it's wonderful. The next book I read is actually the companion novel to the Explosion book of the month, which is Off the Page by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. If you don't know what Explosion is, it's a book group created by BookTube's own Christine from Pulling Bananas Books, Catty-tastic from Catty-tastic, Jessie from Jessie the Reader. They all come together and do a live show for each book, like a book a month. And this month it is June 2nd, which is tomorrow for me. And they'll be talking about the feelings in the book and on the story. If you want to check that out, I will leave Christine and Kat and Jessie's channels down below for you to go check out if you don't know who they are, which I don't know why you wouldn't know who they are. Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer, who is her daughter. I think it's really, really amazing that they wrote the story, because Samantha Van Leer had the idea of this story and asked her mom what she thought about it, and they ended up writing it together, which I just think is so cool. Personally, as a writer, I think it's really, really cool that her mom and her wrote a book together. And it is about a girl named Delilah who is 15 years old, and she is in love with this fairy tale, and her mom's giving her a hard time because she doesn't think it's age appropriate for Delilah to like it. Delilah is embarrassed about it, but one day, she is so in love with the prince in the fairy tale, and she tells him that she wishes he was real. And I don't know how many of you fangirls have thought that, but I've definitely said that to a few characters in books. And he actually finds a way to communicate with her and tell her that he is trapped in this fairy tale, and that basically when you close the book, all the characters have lives of their own. They're not like the characters, and when you open it, they are performing a play. And so Delilah and Prince Oliver, are spending the entire Between the Lines trying to get Oliver out of the book. And it's really, really funny, and I just loved it. I loved it so much. I think I gave it 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure which one, but it's definitely a 4.5 out of 5 stars. So the last book that I read in June and completed is Off the Page by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. This is the Book Explosion book of the month. Like I said, June 2nd, they're going to be holding a live show, which I will definitely be watching. This is actually the first book that I've read along with the Book Explosion group, where it was read in the month that they were reading it. Revel Bell was like a week after they had their live show. It was just, I've never actually read the book and owned the book at the time they were doing it, but I did this time, and I got it, and I liked this, but I didn't like it as much as I liked Between the Lines. This is about a 3.5 for me. And that's just to say that sometimes Delilah didn't handle things exactly as I think that she should have, and some problems came up that shouldn't have happened, that were like stupid and pointless, and were just causing problems for the two of them, and their things got a little complicated, and it was literally just to create conflict. And I understand that that's necessary in a novel to have conflict, but some of the stuff was easily avoidable in my opinion. And I think that somebody of Delilah's age and somebody that had just gotten a prince out of a book would have let slide. So yeah. Well, those are the books that I have read in June. I'm going to move on to the books that I'm planning on reading in July. So let's get started. It's going to be the longest video in the world. Oh my gosh. Alright guys, just so you guys know, I have been doing so well with my reading challenge. I've read 43 books this month. Not this month. Oh my gosh. I've read 43 books this year since it started. And my goal is 75, and I'm feeling really, really confident. I have had a massive book buying splurge since I graduated high school. Yeah. Going to college. I have a lot of books to show you. So the first book that I want to read in July, I'm actually currently halfway through and started in June, but that is The Heir by Kiera Cass. I read the Selection series. The Selection I read like a year or two ago, and then I read The Elite and The One back to back about 6 months ago, I guess. If any of you guys have seen Christine from Pulling Bananas books, book reviews on the series, it is a frustrating series. It literally makes me want to like throw my book at the wall, but at the same time it's addicting. It is like watching a reality show. Literally, it is that frustrating and that addicting. And this book is actually 20 years later. It's about the main character in the selection series, American Singers, daughter Evelyn, and it's about her going through her own selection. So far, I'm really liking it. I don't have as much of a problem with Evelyn as Christine talks about having in her review of this book, but I know what she means. I guess it's just because I've read a lot of book about princesses and people like that lately, and their entire mindset is different in their mind, so when I read a book, I'm like reading in their mindset. And I think Evelyn's just a very blunt person and a very factual person. And I don't think necessarily that she's bragging on herself when she talks about how powerful she is and stuff like that. I feel like it's more of a burden to her because she continually is talking about wanting to give up her place as queen. The next book I would like to read is Red Queen. By Victoria Aveyard. And this book has been like all over BookTube. Everybody's in an uproar about how amazing it is. My friend Ansley is like on me about reading it because apparently it is fantastic. It's about this like blood war kind of thing. Like you have silvers and you have reds, and they're like at war with each other because like the reds are not seen as important as the silvers or something like that. And a girl in this book is a red, I think. Yeah, red. She's a red, but somehow she has like the abilities of a silver. And it just creates a lot of drama. The next book I would like to read to get me back into my summer reading binge is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. It will be my third Morgan Matson book that I've read. The first one I read was Since You've Been Gone. The second one was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, and now Second Chance Summer. And just her writing is so fun and so playful. At the same time, it addresses topics that are important, and I think that that's a really good mix in YA because a lot of teenagers don't want to just like dive headfirst into serious topics, but I think Morgan Matson segues into the importance of certain things, such as when Since You've Been Gone happened, it was talking about, you know, a friend doing this bucket list and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time it's about moving away in friendship and how that gets affected when you are gone from your home, and how friendship can dissolve and how you have to make an effort to keep it there. Then Amy Rogers' Epic Detour was talking about a fun road trip, but at the same time it talks about the loss of a parent. And Second Chance Summer, from what I can tell, I don't actually know much about it. I just kind of picked it up because it had Morgan Matson's name on it and the word summer in it. But some terrible news happens, but something romantic happens, and you know, I think it will probably address those things in the same exact way. The next book that I want to read is also a summer book. You guys, do you understand what I'm doing here? Do you? Open Road Summer by, I had to look because I didn't know, Emery Lord. I found this just like literally, it was sitting with all the summer books at my Books A Million. Yeah, I have a Books A Million. I saw where some booktubers went to like LA or somewhere and they were like, oh my gosh, that's a real Books A Million. I have one 15 minutes away from my house and I'm in the South. It's my favorite place to go. I just saw this sitting with the other books, and it looked interesting. It says, 2 best friends, 2 broken hearts, 1 summer that will change everything. That sounds like stuff goes down. That sounds like some best friend betrayed another best friend by liking a boy, and it just sounds really uncomfortable and funny to me, and I'm looking forward to it. And let's just face it, this is kind of a really pretty cover, to me, personally. In case you guys can't tell, it's been a while since I made a video. I guess I should probably also address the fact of why there are no videos on my YouTube channel, and if you've been subscribed for a while, you realize that this YouTube channel has existed for like 4 years, and that I have posted and then taken them down, and then posted and taken them down, and basically I just had to deal with some stuff. I had to deal with some anxiety issues, I had to deal with some perfectionist issues, I had to deal with the loss of a person in my life, and you know, it just... Filming videos, I got to the point where I couldn't watch my own videos. They made me sad because I didn't think that I was doing the best I could and that they weren't completely perfect or completely right. And I wasn't allowing myself to mature as a booktuber and to mature my video content to get better and better. I was just like, no, that's not perfect, so we can't post it. No, that's not perfect. So that's why I haven't been posting, and I'm really, really sorry to those of you that have stayed committed to this channel for so long. I promise you, I will get videos uploaded more, and I'm sorry for that. Moving on to my next book, I just wanted to be serious and explain myself really quick, so moving on. The next book that I would like to read, that I hope I didn't just damage, is Magonia by, why don't I remember the author's names? Maria Dafana Headley. I am not taking responsibility for not remembering that, and I am so sorry if I butchered your name. So Magonia, from what I can tell, is about a girl that is dying, and she sees like a ship in the sky or something like that, and nobody believes her, and she dies, but then she's in this other place called Magonia, and it sounds really trippy. It sounds kind of spacey. I saw it sitting in Books A Million, and I had to pick it up because I had the money and I wanted it. So I picked it up, and it's so pretty. And what's it look like naked? Oh, it's pretty naked. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's like got like an not embezzlement. It's got like, I don't know. It's got a design in the cover of it. It's cool. I feel like I'm finally catching up with the new releases. Like, I read a new release within the month that it was released, so I'm proud of myself. I'm feeling myself. Feeling myself. Oh my. The next book is another Sarah Dessen book. Yeah, so The Moon and More, it's literally a beach romance that Sarah Dessen wrote, and Sarah Dessen's books are kind of like a drug for me. I just like, they're my guilty pleasure. I like to read her books. I think that there's like the perfect amount of cheese and then like realness. Like, she just, I like her writing. I like her characters. They're always realistic. They always remind me of either myself or one of my friends. Like, it's literally every book is one of my friends' lives. It's, personally, my favorite Sarah Dessen book is Just Listen, because it deals with a topic that is very close to my heart. If you have read it, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, please read it. I recommend that. I just needed to put that book out there. I live, like I said, in the South, but I don't live near the coast, and so when I go to the beach, it's like my favorite time of year. I'm a total beach baby. I read beach books all summer just so I can be happy and think about the beach 24/7. So the next book that I would like to read is one that I've owned since like Christmas, and that is a collection of short stories, and it's called Four, and it's by Veronica Roth. Well, I really have no excuse for not reading this book yet, except for that I keep forgetting it exists. The next book I would like to read this month in July is Sarah Dessen, Lock and Key. I'm not actually sure what this one is about. I'm going to read this because her books always have really short blurbs. Unlock your heart and the rest will follow. Ruby is used to taking care of herself, but now that she's living with her sister, she's got her own room, she's going to a good school, and her future looks bright. Plus, there's the adorable boy next door. Can Ruby learn to open her heart and let him in? Okay, so it's about a boy next door, which, quick ramble because I love doing that. There's this house to the left of me that all throughout my childhood people would move in and out of because it's a house for rent, so people would rent it and then leave. And it's always teenage boys my age, and I always had a boy next door up until about 2 years ago. An older woman moved in, and now there's no boys in like the houses down the street from me. You have to go all the way down my neighborhood and like to the left, and those boys are like the boys I grew up with, and they're not boy next door types. They all have girlfriends that are my friends. So yeah. But finally, the last book I would like to read is one that I don't know how I feel about yet, because a lot of people really, really liked I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson, and I wasn't like super, I mean, it was a good book, but it was still, I don't know, it was a little abstract to me. Magic realism and me were having a rough patch at that time because of the book we were reading in class, and I didn't like it. And so, I don't know, I'll Give You the Sun was like a 3.5, I think, for me. But everybody else loves it, so I think I was just biased at that time. So I picked up This Guy Is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. I don't know what this book is about, but I'm ready to read it, because I do like her characters. I like her characters a lot. Her characters are awesome, to be completely fair. They're amazing. So I'm looking forward to reading this book and giving Jandy another try, because you deserve another try, Jandy. Thanks. Alright, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon, hopefully, and I love you, and bye.